My name is Karl with a K, South Bend, Indiana, 1943 in August. I have 3 brothers. I was the second oldest of 4 boys. No sisters. I was supposed to be the one. Wouldn't cut my hair until it was down to here when I was 4 because it was natural blonde and curly. When she cut it, it went straight brown. They were great parents. My dad was a little short on patience, but he had patience because that's what he did for a living. He was a doctor. Couldn't have designed a better mother than she. She was a kind of person who was up early and to bed early too, and a great cook. Dad was not much with interacting with his boys because he was oldest of 12. His dad was set aside from him as the power of the family. Mom took care of the kids. She didn't go to dad just to go and talk to him. So he had no idea of a relationship between a father and son. And I held it against him when I was growing up. He didn't have the experience, and that has to come with it. But he was an excellent provider. We had good school. We had college. We went to college only after we did some service time. He wanted to make sure we were mature enough so he wasn't wasting his money. First of all, you ever hear of dandelions? My first job, all the kids in the family, we were on the front yard on our knees with a knife cutting that stuff out, and it grew faster than you could cut it out. The next one was helping out with the paper out, then having the paper out myself. In high school, I worked as a checker and a stock boy. I was in the Navy, and that was a really strange thing because I went in, and after about 4 weeks in boot camp, the weather changed and we all had our summer weight clothes. So there was 300 of us that went to the hospital for bronchial pneumonia. I was in the hospital for 9 months. They offered me a discharge. At that time, the military could pick you right up on it. So I said, listen, I'm here, let's get it done. So I only actually had service time of about 7 or 8 months. When I got out of the hospital, they sent me back to boot camp and they said, sorry, regulations say you can't be here. Anybody this much time in the service. So they shipped me right out to the fleet without any training. Radioman. When we got out of the house away from Dad, it was like, yeah, we're free. Because he was a worse discipline than any military could have been. Went over to Westpac. I was in when they were blockading Cuba. We were on the other side of the world, but they put us on wartime condition in case we had to go to war. Got to see a lot of Japan, Korea. I had a good job because during war games or shooting the guns and stuff, I was a messenger. I could go around and look at everything going on and have freedom of that. The next was to go home and start Indiana University Extension in South Bend, Indiana. I studied what it was like to go through that education because a young lady I met in California was pregnant with our child. That was a surprise. Did not know that. Or one of her friends called me. Bam! It was like that's my responsibility. No doubt in my mind because that's the way I was brought up. So I came out to California and stayed here from that time on. We got married. We lived in Long Beach. My first job there was working for Sears Roebuck and Company, and I was department manager. Well, we had 5. Jim was my first, and then Laura was my second. David was my third, and then Amy was my 4th, and Stephen was our youngest. We lost both our girls. Laura, she was hit by a car in Long Beach. She was babysitting and some kid was bullying them, so she ran out in the street to keep her niece from going out there, and she was hit. But Laura was all broken up on her right side, and it's kind of hard you don't know what to pray for. She lived. She had a horrible life with the way her body was. So she passed away about 8 hours after we were in there, so thank God at least I was with her. Her younger sister, Amy, passed away 3 years ago in Riverside here, and she had kidney and bladder problems. But I was with her the last 3 days that she was alive. But I'm going to have to find out when I go to heaven why God's taking my girls, leaving the guys alone. Yeah, that was a traumatic period. I was married for about 17 years. They all live out here. My oldest son, he went into landscaping. His brother is still trying to figure out what he wants to do. My youngest son, Stephen, he's got 2 children and lives in Utah. So he's the one I'm closest to right now. I wish I had better communications. It's not the case with you. Thank God I got Steve because I brag on him a lot. You step out of line, man, you're going to mess up my stories. Great father, a super guy. My oldest, his name is Andrew, and the Navy got him and he was assigned as an officer to his submarine. The kid is square cut, good looking, does all the right stuff, but he still knows how to play a decent game of poker. Wonderful kid. He's got a house and he's just way organized. He looks really great in that uniform. I never could wear that uniform. I had the old slobby one. So Steve had 2, Jimmy had none, and David had none. Amy, who passed away most recently, had 2. I'm more of a scenic photographer than a people person, although people hated me in the family because I always had the camera there. I got about 65 albums of the old type of pictures. It did a fair amount of travel too, so that was fun. Thank God I had my camera, or else I would have gotten in trouble. Hobbies were actually hiking, camping, traveling. Where we went for vacation was camping. In fact, I took all my children plus a girl because this is after I was divorced, and we drove from here to see my folks in South Bend, Indiana, and that was a 3-day trip. I've always been in the outdoors. I love nature. I go out and steal God's creations because you take a picture, you take it home with you. England, Scotland, and Wales. That was a beautiful trip. We got to see England. We saw Les Miserables in London and Piccadilly Square, and that was just fantastic. We stayed in a castle for the time because it was all gifted to us. So we stayed in Edinburgh. There you had to dress up for dinner, and the food was great. I took my son on that trip. I took my daughter on one to Washington, D.C. Yeah, in high school, our team came in first nationally out of high school competition for archery, and that's another thing I did for a while was shoot that, but not the kind of thing you can casually just do. And I used to do a little gun hunting with rabbits, and we ate them, cottontails. End period, I started to get into the constellations and the stars and stuff, and that was really really neat too. It was the third place I lived, and the primary reason for, other than the nice place it is I'm not going to be walking much longer. I do 2 visits a week at the hospital. I got just about everything that won't kill you. So I have like 5 different doctors I go to. I had to have some place for transportation because I couldn't do it myself. And this place, at least they offered it twice a week, and it's close enough to get to my doctors. I'm into movies, I'm into corresponding, love people and so forth, and I've always got something to do. In fact, I got more to do than these legs can keep up with. I look at death as a joke thing. I'm not going to take it serious, because you can go up or you can go down. And I've been down a couple of times, so I want to go there again. So I try to make jokes about that as much as possible. I'm not depressed. I've had a wonderful life. If something would happen tomorrow, I wouldn't be upset at all, because right now I can't give back. This is a time of life when you usually give back what you've been given all your life. If there was a ticket one way to heaven, I would jump on it right now. I'm looking forward to that. I'm not afraid of dying. I'm afraid of living with pain. For sure, I was an altar boy, served Mass. My whole family was, that's the way I was brought up with them. We were strong Catholics. Went to Catholic grade school and high school. I talk to God during the day all the time. Thank God that we have somebody, no matter what, that is there with you. So, number one, He is love. He's our best friend. A lot of people have never been introduced. That's a shame. But being good friends with God doesn't mean you're going to have an easy time. Jesus is the one who showed us love. And God the Father, He was like a father, keeping things in order, and I'm glad He's part of my life. Pretty much all these places hire the same type of people, the same level. For the people that get here, they've got some wonderful people. I think the best thing I can do for somebody, if they've done their job, is let somebody know about that. The most fun thing I can do is to give somebody else accolades so they get the proper attention they should have. And we've had a couple of people here like that. Management's good. I think the most important thing in life is family, being close to family, and how you treat your friends.